Hi everyone, I hope everyone is well and blessed. This is going to be part 2 of Sebastian Rogers, missing Sebastian Rogers. In the first part, if you've not caught it, do check it out. I mentioned about the father, and there's been quite a bit of validation around that, you know. He did end up being a police officer or a sheriff, I think his title is. He did come out and speak. He has been very much looking in for his son. He hasn't said it much, and I did mention that I don't think he's going to be saying too much, but by that I'm not saying that he's not been out saying stuff, but he's not been saying a lot. And I still get this inkling that the dad is onto something. Now there's various stuff where I've made notes that I might jump through my notes to make sure that I clear my channel. I had a new subscriber, I believe, who made a very kind comment and then also said about the flashlights. Now in this case and a couple of the cases I'm covering, let's just say they found the blanket of Elijah Vu. That case really haunts, like, you know, Maddie's case is terrible, but there's something about Elijah Vu, and I think it's because also the fighting of dark energies that were around him. There's dark energies of human, but then there's those extra dark entities that you call in when you're doing certain things in your life, and that was around him. So his blanket was found, I believe, yesterday. It just happened to pop up because I was thinking of doing a second reading of looking at Jesse's energy towards him, the mother, and then also diving a bit deeper into this third party, but also the situation that kicked off, because I don't believe it was premeditated. Like, what is one that I do believe is premeditated? I'm going to cover a UK reporter, Jill Dando. If you're interested in that, comment in the box. I believe that was premeditated. So I don't want to give too much away of what I believe on that. The other thing with the flashlights is, if you remember in my first reading, and I should have actually looked back at it before doing this, because half the time of channeling, I don't necessarily remember everything I say, and when I'm channeling, I sometimes might want to say a full sentence and explain it just to make sure it's reached you in a precise, not only precise way, but in a way that emphasizes something that I don't really want to emphasize for you to pick up on. I don't know, I'm getting a bit panicky and out of breath. I was feeling the head, wasn't I, with Sebastian? I know the head definitely with Elijah Vu. Maddie, there was a big pressure on her chest, and there was something else that I'm going to go into in her part 2. Sebastian, I do think there's something around the head, but I'm wondering if there could be something around the throat as well, so the neck, like maybe, look at this, strangulation. And I think I mentioned, you know, it was Maddie's, was having panic. But let's go back to Sebastian to make sure I'm picking up the energy of Sebastian of what happened. And I hope you can still hear me. So there could have been strangulation here. He was definitely silenced. Maybe anger and him kicking off, and it was kind of like that kicked off to an anger rage. And well, this is not going to go far if I can't talk. Anger rage then between them. Just give me a moment while I try to get my voice back. You know, when I look at Sebastian's eyes, there's one eye that really has something to it. I'm not saying it looks weird, but it has an energy to it. And I was going to look at his picture further, because the first time I saw him, like the picture that I put in part 1, and the picture that I've put here, which is not the clearest, there's one eye that has an energy to it, and I just want to know what that is. There's something there, and I just need to look at the picture, because it's kind of like I've seen it, but it's not kind of like I've analysed a picture or looked into the energy. But there's something there. That's just a side note. I don't feel it like a hurt. If I do part 3 on this, I might mention it. I'll just look at the picture again. I feel like it's actually maybe a bit of anger, like that kind of streak. It might be more so like unexpressed, suppressed anger. I think that's what I see in one of his eyes. And it's funny because I haven't really looked at the picture. It's kind of like, okay, that's what he looks like. Put the picture, add it to part 1. So I haven't, it just struck me straight away. And it's being brought up again. So I think there's a lot of suppressed anger, and I wonder if it was difficult to manage his situation for quite some time. Now, going back to the flashlights, in part 1, I mentioned something. I was like about, they said he was wearing black, and I mentioned something about black pajamas, and I felt the word black was strange, but they didn't actually mention pajamas. I think I picked up on pajamas because he was told to go to bed. But then I think in the talk, the interview I saw, they said sweatpants, but I'm not sure. And I don't know if I have a feeling that's kind of changed. Maybe it's changed to pajamas, or maybe it's changed with a little bit more colour, because I felt it really strange that he was in black. And I know that men or masculine or males tend to have like more black nightwear than, like, you know, for females, you don't tend to find as many black nighties, etc. It's more, you know, you have like the pastel greys and stuff, or the light pastels. I'm not saying it's not there, because I do have, but I don't know, you know, even when I'm talking again, I'm going back into it, I'm like, it's not impossible, it is there. Well, there's something about that. And then when I was thinking about the comment about the flashlights, and I mentioned in part 1, it was weird that the mother said it was so dark outside. And then when I heard about the flashlights, I'm like, yes, that's why I felt like that sentence was so weird. And it stuck with me. And then the wearing of black clothes as well, to, again, maybe unnoticed, being more in the dark, right, rather than the light colours. And then the flashlight thing came up, and I was like, that tied directly in with what I remember I'd said in part 1. I remember it clearly saying it's a bit weird to say it was really dark outside. Now, for example, if I lived in their area, I was visiting a friend and I lived in their area, I might say it's really dark, because what I understand is, I don't know, but I presume because they're building around that area, new houses, development, like there's open land. You've seen some of the pictures that I looked at. There might not be as many street lights. So if you're not living in that area, you might come and say, my God, it's so dark, because you're not used to it. Even though it is dark, it is night. But for them, they might still see it as really, really dark, because obviously they go different places in the night, they go out and stuff like that. But it's not something that you would remember to say unless you were out in the dark that evening, if that makes sense. And it really stood with me. And then the flashlight thing. Now, the problem here I have with this case is the timeline is totally off. Even with crime thumbnails that I get on the YouTube, okay, to understand a little bit. So, for example, I know that they said the stepfather works and the night shift. But then on one thumbnail of a crime show, it said that he starts at 6 a.m. So that means he'd have to leave like 3 hours earlier. So let's say 3 a.m., which means he would have been in the house. And it's not clear. Yet, you know, the stepfather said, you know, he was definitely at work. And I don't think he would lie about that, because if he did, obviously work would come forward and say he wasn't at work. But let's say if he was 10 minutes, 15 minutes late, that's not going to make a difference. A lot of people arrive that bit late from work to work. Why do I say that? Because I think the flashlights and the recording was at 3:10 a.m. Now, other thumbnails have said that he'd already left for work, because he does a proper night shift, which I presume then ends in the morning. So even what's out there is contradictory, even between crime documentaries. Now, I've had a look at the flashlight clip, and I might not have seen the full clip. So what I see is, here is the cameras that is recording, and they seem to be moving, which is a bit weird. So I don't know if they're placed on a wire, okay? And then you see like a flashlight coming, and it's as if there's like bushes. There's a flashlight, and then slowly following it is another flashlight, and then it stops, and then another. But I can't see after that. I don't see after that that they've gone beyond the area, but I don't know, because I couldn't make it out if the flashlights then, if flashlight 2 came to 1 and then 1 went backwards. Do you understand what I'm saying? If they went back into wherever they were going. The other thing that I didn't know, if it was a flashlight at the back end, and do they park their cars at the back end or the front end of the house? Because if it's at the back end, it would also tie in with, it's probably recording something of their activity, whatever that is. Some people are saying that Sebastian could have been lured out by someone. Again, with that, that's, I mean, if you look at it, forget the case of what I think, that could possibly be it, because there's torch 1 and then there's torch 2 that kind of stops, or flashlight 2 that kind of stops, and it seems like they're looking for flashlight 1, or trying to get to flashlight 1 maybe through a bush or something, and then it seems like it ends up there. So that could be the person luring Sebastian out. I would say with that, if it was a stranger, I would presume that the bedrooms would need to be on the ground floor. Now, before I pass this by, if there's any houses on the opposite side, I think one of them will have a surveillance camera, and that surveillance camera could well have picked something up if the cars park on the front, okay? If the cars park on the front, that surveillance camera, that I believe there is one on the other side of the road, maybe from a house, has something covered. Okay. The other thing with the flashlights is, there's no saying whether it's normal that sometimes they see flashlights, they see activity on their recordings. It's just kind of like, this is it. And I think it's been sort of like said that it's not necessarily helpful in the case. I think probably because you can't narrow it down. And I'm getting choky again. But I don't believe that they've disregarded it. I think they've put it aside to continue to tie it into evidence. And I do believe like a lot is not being said, like the timeline, the police will exactly know. But it's really weird how the crime documentaries, if you're watching them, there's 2 different stories on the stepfather's work timings. And I know that the drive, or what I understand, from their home, is it Tennessee to Memphis, where he works, is like a 3-hour drive. But yeah, the flashlights, and it, you know, it was totally what I said. That sentence said about the dark is weird, and also the PJs of black, I felt just didn't sit well with me. I really think they need to know if the cars are at where the flashlight, if the cars are parked at the back is really important, but I still can't get over the sentence, it was really dark outside and those flashlights. I just want to say something just in case I don't get to cover it because I'm doing these cases and I've still got Maddie. Riley's case, Riley Strain, I haven't read on it, I haven't tapped on it, but he's going to be found. I don't think found in a sense of his body's going to be found, okay, I'm not going to say more of that, but his body's going to be found. And these cases, even Maddie's and you should be found, even Elijah's going to be found, and Sebastian will be found. Yeah, I'm being brought back to what I said about feeling one of the energies of his eyes of suppressed anger. So I wonder if he was like, if a lot was happening over a very long period of time where he would get angry and he would try to retaliate, but his communication was very limited, and so it held a lot of maybe suppressed anger in a way. Now, at the same time, you know, he had dogs, he had a snake, I think, or he had puppies, and so he wasn't like, he did, what I'm trying to say here is that there was he was given, or there was love or whatever, but I also came across a clip, I think they've done another interview, haven't they, with their hands on each other, and then have they done a recent interview where they're facing the camera and the mother needs an Oscar for the first interview. It's messed up. It is messed up. I couldn't be more sure on who's involved in this right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how the card says stuff. And I'm just going to say, just tick off a couple of stuff that I wanted to mention. I also feel like, okay, let's get into the read. I feel like the number 9 is significant in this reading. I want to see the mother's energy towards Sebastian, just general, not on that day, okay? Let me say what I want to say, channel, before I forget, and if it repeats, then I repeat it. Again, I feel like the dad knows a few things, like I said, and I feel like if the mother has mental or emotional instability, she might have been in the past prescribed something. Interesting. So I've got this crime deck, which maybe in the part 1 you saw. And as I'm talking, Spirit had told me to pick up the last ones that I created here because, you know, these are the last ones I created, but pick this up, but look at the bottom before I do. Blonde, red hair. There's others, of course, but like blonde, red hair, you know, and I'm not even focused on these. There you go. But again, it might be that Spirit's telling me relating to this, but I think, a disclaimer, please, this is all my opinion, tarot, divination, my psychic abilities is for entertainment purposes only. The law enforcement are there to prove who's guilty. Use your own research and fact finding. Now I forgot what I wanted to say. Yeah, the father will know if she's had like, it could be a period in the life, but you know when you sometimes need something to help calm your emotional or mental stability, and I think the father will be aware of that. Which would be interesting. I mean, there's a case of like Nicola Bulley in the UK, if you've heard of it, where certain family members and the police were not shy to say that she had certain issues, which I don't think were necessarily beyond anyone else's norm issues. So he is holding back. And for the sake of this going out of control, split the deck and patience come up. I think the father will know, like, he would have had to probably have a lot of patience. Maybe if there was that emotional instability. Interesting, upside down. She's got red hair as well. It's interesting, I picked these cards because quite a few of them have got like, this has got like brunette reddish hair. Was she fairly young when she had Sebastian? I don't mean dead young, but like, was she about 25 or something? I know that's not very young, but in this day and age, it's not old either. There is an out of balance harmony with her energy towards Sebastian. That was my question. And I think she had a lot of things on the go, or a lot of stuff she was trying to balance in her life. And this could have been mental and emotional. And it could have been, it could have been actually after the divorce that needed a lot of inner strength from her. But there was a lot of balance and disharmony within her. And I think this comes from within her. This could have also been stuff around self-doubt. It could have been, there's a certain mask here that she's hiding behind. And I feel like there's an element of her that needed to be healed in general. There's a denying of herself and everyone that knows her of her true self and true essence. There's something that, really sent her out of balance. And it might pertain back to earlier years in her life. But this is not a balanced individual. And in part one, I didn't even go down that route because I don't like to say stuff about people. But I started the reading off saying certain things that indicated this, and the cards are telling me so as well. There was a dissatisfaction in the home. And I think it was for a very long time. And there was a reflection of a very long time on what can be done to bring balance within the home. Within sort of like the feeling of imbalancement and depression, and also the feeling of walking away. There's the balance that I was saying. And there's a new chapter. Look at that. A death and a rebirth. To bring the Wheel of Fortune in so that things, thinking things will be a lot happier with the stepfather. But it all goes back to unhealed areas of her past. And also, I think, a struggle of mental health that got over her, and really I would be really interested in her past. And it's interesting because we spoke about, I believe the stepfather in part one had a bit of a past. or he might have, there was an ex involved or something like that, in the energy. I don't necessarily mean there was a third party situation. But here I feel some inner child was not healed, and that was like kind of haunting. Okay, Spirit's told me to stop and take this card. Yeah, there was a lot of fear and resentment and not able to see clearly about a decision to let something go or walk away. Now think about what I'm saying here. And by doing that, the thought was that there'd be this brand new beginning. I asked for the energies in general towards Sebastian, not necessarily at the end, but it's brought up kind of like a story. Now think about it here. We do have love for the child here, but we don't have any other love. It's really strange, and I think it was taken over by negative thoughts, mental well-being and emotional well-being. Yeah, okay. To have that new chapter, there was something that happened that that would have been the heartbreak. Think of Sebastian, the tower, and then holding on but needing to rush forward. I think in the part one I was getting something about monies, and I do think there's some element of money in here. I don't know if there was benefit money or something like that was being stopped. Maybe also like if he was going to go live with his father, with certain monies being stopped. This was not actually premeditated, although there was a thinking for a very long time that the situation at home is not a happy one and what can be done, but that thinking was from an imbalanced approach. And what happened did cause heartbreak, but it was to see, I don't know how anyone could see this, it's quite difficult to read, a new beginning of a brighter future. Something that felt quite far away needed to be brought closer. And there could have been, this threat of like third party situation. But I feel like there was impulsiveness here as well. So so that I don't continue, I can continue on this. Let's see the stepfather's energy towards Sebastian. Just make sure it's recording. Still. Yeah, okay. Stepfather's energy towards Sebastian in general. I feel also at certain times of the moon, it can cause her extreme emotional imbalancement. That's not unusual, by the way, especially if you're an empath. I'm going to put these back because I did ask the question, but I want to ask it focusing on the cards. If you're an empath, the moon phases can affect you They do affect me, but not in obviously this way. Alhamdulillah. But like, it can cause emotional imbalance. And I always say, if you're on medication, of mental health medication, stuff like that, you're living with someone who suffers mental health, there might be certain times of the month of certain moon phases and astrological phases where there's a peak of something. And I do help people with that, so I know that fully. And I think this was a period. What was the 25th of April? Was that near a month of moon? It's interesting to say 25th of April. I wonder if there's going to be his finding then, but I think it might be quicker than that. 25th of April is a significant day. Let's just make a note of that. Maybe something that gets announced. Or maybe it's someone's birthday, I don't know. Not someone, one of you, but like maybe Sebastian or something like that. Right. Something around the 25th of April. But the 25th of February, there was a lot of cases tied in with those dates. Like the 25th, 26th. Yet, you know, the thing kind of happened on the day before, then the day they announced the person missing. In this case, like I said, it was the night before. Stepfather's energy towards Sebastian, please, Spirit, in general. Yeah, so I definitely think, I'm going back to it, I definitely think there's something more on surveillance that can be seen. And the time frame is really weird. The flashlight, it would have been good to know what, apart from the police maybe saying, you know, it happened, there's recordings of this on a daily basis from the neighbors. Usually they see it or they don't see it, you know. Okay. I feel like sometimes Sebastian would be very standoffish with his stepfather. Not easy necessarily to control. The stepfather needed a lot of patience. I think at times they could end up in conflict. It required inner strength. It wasn't always an easy time at home. It wasn't like a resting time at home. It wasn't a harmonized relationship between them. I don't think they were in harmony a lot of the time. There was a lot of conflict. I feel like the stepfather also felt that he often felt a bit hopeless in the situation with Sebastian, maybe around sort of calming Sebastian down or taking control of Sebastian, where Sebastian will come back at him with harsh words. Maybe sometimes he'd have some harsh words, but that came from a self of feeling maybe he was helpless in trying to control him. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean in controlling maybe the conflict that they would have. He was more or less the boss at home, which is not necessarily negative thing, but you know, sometimes it's the woman that wears the pants, etc., what they say, but I believe he was in this case. By the Chariot, Wheel of Fortune. There was definitely a disharmony in their relationship with him, and unhealed aspects. I think he did have hope for things to change, but I don't see that they did change. And there was continuously challenges around that. Again, there's something around money here. I think he might have been the main breadwinner. He did try to be patient. It's clearly that he did drive a lot to work. What I mean by that, it wasn't just like a half an hour commute, which is what we know. it was like they were both on the defense all the time, and there was conflict. I think, I wonder if sometimes there'd be conflict with the dad in terms of Sebastian. But he was waiting. He was hoping for things to change. On the last day, again, there was big conflict and a need to defend the situation. A real big need to defend the situation. There was a fight. The mother was involved in this. And we've got the Knight of Swords, which we had in her deck as well. And you can look at the imagery. Look where the sword is going as well, interestingly, if you remember my throat, but I don't think that was the thing. Disharmony, I think, with the father. Disharmony in monies as well. I feel like he felt a bit left out in the cold at certain times as well. That might be, you know, when they were discussing Sebastian or something like that. Ten of Cups, Queen of Pentacles, the Tower, Fool. So yeah, trying to, you know, that Ten of Cups of a happy home wasn't there. Yet he did feel like he had his Queen of Pentacles, you know, the mother. But then that's the Tower, that around Sebastian, what was done to Sebastian, for that new chapter to come in. I won't be surprised, by the way, if she's pregnant, or she was recently pregnant, or she, yeah, like, she might not know she's pregnant. And that might be where there's a thing about the money. The love here I see is very, it's not like, it's not like what I would see. I know a stepfather relationship could be difficult, but it's, again, it's not like what I would see, even the mother. Let's look at the father, to be fair. I might need to do part 3 on what actually happened. I know I could be irritating some of you, like, but I think it's not good to have too long on something. I wonder if Sebastian had another diagnosis. I don't know why I'm getting something around the chest of breathing sometimes, or even, you know, on the spectrum with an additional, something additional. Obviously, eyesight was additional, but the mother said that she'd told Sebastian to go to bed at 9 p.m, but an hour later she'd heard, I think if I remember this rightly, part 1, that he was still awake, so she told him to go to bed, and then around 12 she went to bed. So was, again, there's nothing like, okay, but the stepfather was here at that time, the stepfather left at this time. Let me know in the comments what you know about that. There is a lot hidden. Like I said in part 1, there's still a lot, and some the police know, and I think some of it the dad is privy to clues that could really help. So the flashlights could be and could not be, really. to be honest, with that sentence, I feel strongly it links to them. Dad's energy, Seth, to the biological dad towards Sebastian overall. Dad's energy. Very giving towards Sebastian. I think he paid benefits towards Sebastian. You know, I think his dad's single. But the one thing that he took from, I think he might have walked away from the mother, I'm not sure, or she walked away and she had Sebastian with her. She'd won the main custody, so he just had to walk away. That made him feel quite hopeless. Seth towards Sebastian, please, Spirit. Clearly, Seth, the dad towards Sebastian. The dad towards Sebastian. Too many cards here. I want to take this one though. Yeah, so, you know, in life, he felt like there's some battles he needed to win and some he lost. And Sebastian, I wanted to say Stephen, I don't know who Stephen is one. It's needed a lot of patience from him, this situation. I noticed how the messages I'm getting through in the cards are also not overall towards Sebastian only, but on the last days. Look, patience around the completion of his life. Seth towards Sebastian overall, please, Spirit. Seth towards Sebastian overall, please, Spirit. Yeah, he's feeling the loss. He's got a lot of confusion at the moment. He feels like there's internal and external battling that he's going on with. The Knight of Swords. That's been in. He believes the couple have a linking to the end of Sebastian's life. Can you see how Spirit's actually answering me more or less at the end, the last days, as opposed to during the time? Because I'm sure there was love from all of them towards Sebastian, but there's no love here. You know what I mean? So I feel like Spirit is focusing on the messaging around the last few days and how they're feeling right now, especially the father, how he's feeling right now. Yeah, he definitely thinks the couple were involved in this. And he's trying as much as he can to eliminate those negative thoughts that are making him feel quite depressed and hopeless around and confused. Just really negative thoughts that could send him down a rabbit hole. He thinks that they're very manipulative. Like I said, he holds so many clues. I don't know if he realizes it. I think he has already expressed these clues. I'm just going to go back to this card that I saw. His clues are bringing breakthroughs. Again, you know, I've not seen love. Sebastian's father towards Sebastian. Breakthrough on the mother. Yeah. There will be a breakthrough on the mother. And a clarity of seeing the mother clearly. and her involvement. A give and take situation. He has a fear of actually seeing this as the truth. It's a very challenging choice for him. Yeah, look, choices, the love, a very challenging choice for him, but it will mean that I think there's conflict between them. There is going to be a breakthrough on this. There's going to be 100% breakthrough on this. I think I said it in part 1 around Sebastian being laid to rest and his body being found. The car was involved. I said that in the first place. The couple were involved, and no, it was done at the home. Look at that, interesting, wearing black. Remember what I said? I wonder if his body's, you know, it's on land, but it's near a river or a bridge. And he could have been wrapped in a black blanket or something like that. There will be justice on this. There will be a breakthrough on this via the police, as well as the King of Pentacles. This could be the father who is holding back quite a bit at this moment in time around the stepfather as well. But there is going to be balance, a lot of what's unhidden. Look, we finally got the Ace of Cups of love and inner strength that's needed, as well as a bit of patience. There's a lot of ghosts of the past that is in this situation. As I say that, can you remember what I was saying about the mother and past, her past, something about her past, maybe in childhood? Split the deck. We get the Hermit again, which we got last time. And again, this is about a judgment call on those that are defending themselves, thinking they've won in this situation. Not looking at the cards and selecting, I'm trying to get them all in the right face order. Just looking at my notes, making sure I covered most of it. Again, it'd be good to know if the cars are parked at the front or back, or where those flashlights are. There is something about the house, I believe, at the front that might have, if the cars are parked at the front, a clue on there that they might not necessarily. Let's just do this one more question. I think I've already answered it, but I'd like to see. So we've just seen where Sebastian might be found. I did say in part 1, I believe he was taken in the car, probably on the way to the work, but let's see. So I don't know if they're checking that way, but they need to. This is so weird. Look at the 3 kings we've got here. Do you know what? I think there's going to be an unexpected turn on this, and you're going to be shocked on who else is either has the information. It could be the father, what the father knows, but the father's going to bring this to justice, I feel. I'm sorry to say it, but the mother was really involved in this at the forefront. And it was done at the home. And the stepfather was involved, but I believe, you know, out of the two, the mother was the first. These three kings are driving me crazy a little bit. 1 second. The King of Swords is going to bring the breakthrough communication, allowing the breakthrough. On the two couple, this could be law enforcement. Let me just ask again. The King of Pentacles is the person that helped transport Sebastian. So I think this is the stepfather. The King of Cups, please, Spirit. And this is the father. I think the father at the moment is really trying to tame that inner beast as well, you know, just being in a more harmonized place. There is going to be some breakthrough on this eventually, you know, when they put the timelines together and it becomes a crime story further down the line, and there's something you're going to know that's going to take you by a little bit of surprise. I'm not going to say more, that's that. So I hope you enjoyed this part. If you did, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. And I think the next one we're going to do is Maddie part 2, because I've got something to say on what I said in part 1. An energy that I didn't know was why I was doing my head in the person. So do check that out. And thank you to everyone who's made lovely comments. I appreciate you. And I hope we all stay pressed and protected, and all our loved ones are. Take care and bye for now.